I'm turning 30 soon. For me, age is a relative concept and each age has no particular meaning. Yet, during this year of transition to my 30s, I've been reflecting a lot about my life, past, present, and future. And I thought it could be an interesting exercise to come up with 30 lessons I learned throughout the years. This could be especially useful for younger folks. Nevertheless, these principles can be learned at any age. Better late than never. And to make this list more palatable, I will divide it into 3 parts, each containing 10 lessons, in no particular order. Also, I add a small commentary to each lesson for context and further explanation. I would also like to mention that these lessons are not the ultimate truth and that they may apply or not to you in your particular situation. All can I do is to talk about my life experience, so you have to use your own judgment to assess whether these principles outlined here make sense to you. I include whenever I remember the circumstances that led to that lesson. However, lots of them occur over a span of several years. Thus, pinpointing the exact moment these ideas arose isn't easy. Without further ado, here's the first part of the list with the first 10 lessons. The first principle is inner game beats outer game. Here, most self-improvement is focused on techniques and specific protocols to improve your life. And there is nothing wrong with that, of course, especially when you don't want to bother with low-level minutiae. However, if you want to understand and embody the techniques, you need to master the principles instead. And this channel is all about the principles, really. I don't care too much about specific techniques. I want to give you the big picture understanding. And self-improvement is psychological in nature. It boils down to a process of self-discovery and removal of fears and limiting beliefs. So, for example, try to understand why you lack confidence instead of memorizing pickup lines, if that's your problem. But of course, this can be applied to anything, right? And it took me a long time to realize the importance of this principle. And probably you have to go through multiple experiences and pain to really understand this one. Because we want deep success, quick success. And this clouds our big picture thinking, creating this rat race going through quick success instead of really mastering the basics. And that creates a lot of problem. The second point is the value of personal development. I was fortunate to discover personal development around 19 or so, thanks to the internet. Now kids have it even easier. But in any case, when I discovered or found personal development, I could see the value of it right away. I mean, the idea of trying to achieve your full potential in life makes it more exciting, right? And after all, what else there is to do? Over time, though, I start to become more interested in sort of airy-fairy personal development, more philosophical and spiritual in nature. After all, our physical bodies will die eventually, and for me it became inevitable to ask the big questions regarding the meaning of life and the ultimate nature of reality. Yet I became aware that these cool ideas needs to be embodied, and that too much theorizing without practice can be detrimental. Thus, the more mundane personal development still takes an essential role in my life. The third point is the value of having a life purpose. And this is very important to me. I had a hard time deciding what career path to follow in university. I always had a lot of interest, and choosing one option and sticking to it for forever sounded like too much of a commitment, especially when you are 18 or so. So to be honest, I was pretty clueless about what to do with my life back then. So I chose engineering. However, I quickly realized that this was a mistake. And in university, I discovered real mathematics, not the one that they teach you at school. and I found it pretty fascinating, so I changed to math. And long story short, fast forward to 2020, during the pandemic, right? I was doing my PhD and I learned about this idea of life purpose. And in short, life purpose is sort of a 10-year plan about your professional life. So after finishing my PhD, I wasn't sure about my path then, what to do. So I started pondering about it. I also took a course about finding your life purpose to get guidance and understand the process better. However, all this sounded quite unrealistic to me at the time, so I put those ideas aside and I focused on finishing my PhD. But life always throws you the same problems over and over again until you learn the lesson. So this year, after a profound crisis that literally shattered my life, I realized that I didn't want to pursue the academic path. This time, however, the constraints from the past are not there, and I'm 100% committed now to fine-tune and actualize my life purpose for the next 10 years. Nevertheless, I still learn a lot of lessons during the last decades, so no effort is in vain. So really, even if you make mistakes, that's fine. There is always an opportunity to change the course of your life. Point number 4 is intrinsic motivation beats extrinsic motivation. And this idea relates to many points in the list. I won't go through all of them, but is one of the crucial points here. Because in a nutshell, that means that we have to be our best cheerleader. And there will be times when no one will believe in you. Let's say you want to change careers and follow your life purpose, as in the previous point. And probably few to none people will support you. Because we like to stay in a comfort zone, after all, and bringing uncertainty to the table won't be well received by your close ones. And in those situations, you will likely fail unless you have a total conviction about what you are doing is the right move. You may still fail regardless, of course. But if you don't have, it's like a necessary requirement to have this absolute conviction, this intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is about putting your attention on the end result, while intrinsic motivation is about the journey. And I know this sounds cliche, but there is some wisdom there. After all, achieving a goal will likely give you a short dopamine rush, but soon you will be chasing your next goal and your next goal and so on. And this is especially sad if you didn't enjoy the journey. I mean, yeah, having a nice end result, but if you have to suffer and be miserable for a couple of years, I don't know if it's worth it really. So, on the other hand, if you are intrinsically motivated, then no matter the end result, you will have to collect a lot of experience and learn a lesson from there. And this will foster your growth no matter what. Point number 5 is fame and success are not worth pursuing. And this lesson is a corollary from the previous point about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. And the main problem is that those are highly fluctuating. Even if you get fame and success, you must fight them to keep them. On the other hand, is you get them because, I don't know, your work or your personal life, you've been doing good things out there, then it's a different story. Just become aware of that and not get too attached to it. Actually, I think that in good hands, fame or success can positively influence many people and impact the world. Because you can do great stuff, you can influence people to change. So if you have big ambitions, you will likely become influential at some point in your life, provided you accomplish the goals. So what I'm pointing here in this point is that pursuing fame just for fame's sake, like, I don't know, most influencers, is quite pointless. Because it shouldn't be the end goal, but a potential tool for the betterment of our society. And a watered down version of this point is the following. Don't try to stand out or be special. Focus on your craft and try to improve little by little over time. Point number 6 is becoming the architect of your life. And I love this idea, and it's pretty related to the life purpose one, but this is goes more to our daily routines, how to organize your day, what to do and what not to do. And if you think for a moment, time is our most precious resource, and so spending it wisely is a good idea, I think. And the critical point here is to be mindful of your daily routine and not just waste your time doing shit you don't care or it's not important to you. Personally, I prefer a minimalistic sort of lifestyle, and I made a video, you can check it out, about lifestyle minimalism and how to reduce bullshit in your life and gain some extra time. And for me, what's important is to focus my time in the few activities I enjoy doing and cut all of the rest. Be very ruthless about it. But it doesn't have to be this way for you. The important message here is to be mindful about your choices and not to live on autopilot. Point number 7 is long-term over short-term relationships. And I know this is more of personal preference, but nevertheless, I want to include it here because it seems that society is pushing us to more short and casual relationships. And it's not that there is someone behind the scenes doing that, but that's what I can see, what's going on. But again, there is nothing wrong with that. I'm not making a judgment here. The critical point I want to make is that you become aware of your decisions and you don't get too much influenced by others or by society, which is pretty difficult to do anyways, but at least we try to make an effort. And some people prefer to experience more short-term relationships in search for one that they can stick in the long term. But also this involves an additional cost in terms of time and emotional effort. And for me at least, it was clear that I didn't want that. Instead, I see relationships as incredible growth opportunities. And I couldn't be who I am now without my past relationships. So the long-term character gave me multiple opportunities to learn and make mistakes, which is more difficult to do in short-term relationships because in a sense you have to start all over again every time, while in a long-term relationship you can build something more solid, more stable, and learn the other person more deeply and learn yourself also. Point number 8 is the value of good habits in our life. And this may sound obvious, of course, but the sad reality is that many people don't embody this principle. So I think it's a good idea to mention it once more. Again, personal development and growing is about embodying, not just talking about this like I'm doing here, but to really walk the talk. And of course, what good habits are will depend on your goals in life. But still, there are some practices that are universally considered good, such as eating healthy, taking care of your body, getting good quality sleep, etc. Of equal importance is staying away from bad habits. And fortunately, I never smoke and I rarely drink alcohol. But on the other hand, I ate quite poorly during my childhood, and it took me some time to figure out how to eat correctly and lose some extra weight that I accumulated. So also not until recently I quit video games for good and also pornography. So those habits took time and energy from life. So removing them one and for all was, I think, a good idea. And I know that many people struggle with habits because they don't contemplate why those habits are good or bad idea in the first place. Let me explain this a little bit. It doesn't have to be just mere introspection. And the thing is that you can become aware in your daily life on how your actions affect your life. For example, let's say that you can start paying more close attention to how you feel after eating a lot of junk food. or getting drunk. Every action has consequences, so become aware of the cycle can make the necessary click to take action. And doing this many times, you may realize to the conclusion that, yeah, this is not good for me, for example. So all it really takes to change habits or implement good habits is a complete determination to change your life. Once you have it, then changing habits becomes effortless. Doesn't mean that you won't have to make effort, but you will have a clear vision and nothing will stop you from accomplish that. Point number 9 is the importance of reading good books. Personally, I'm a big non-fiction reader, and over the years, I become more aware of the value of good books for self-improvement than other avenues like YouTube videos or podcasts. And of course, there is nothing wrong with that. I'm doing here videos, so. But the thing is that most self-improvement videos nowadays are mostly entertainment and contain little depth, to my taste at least. On the other hand, books and audiobooks, of course, can go in so much depth, allowing to internalize and embody the concepts way more deep than any other short 5-minute video. Nowadays, I rarely consume self-improvement content on YouTube, besides a few good ones out there, and instead I prefer to listen audiobooks versions of books I already read or I'm currently reading. So in this regard, I think that quality beats quantity. In any case, regardless of the content mediums, either books or whatever, be careful to not overconsume content and start implementing the advice. Point number 10, and the last one in this first part of the series, is don't take your life and yourself too seriously. This is one of the most critical lessons in the list, and I had to learn the hard way. I think that most of us has to learn the hard way. I used to tie my identity and self-worth based on my career and intellectual abilities, and that created a permanent sense of anxiety inside my mind. Even though most of the time it was barely noticeable, at moments it created a lot of suffering, especially when I thought I failed. And this made me afraid of failure, which is a point I will touch in a future video. And as a consequence, I always wanted to win, but life doesn't work that way, right? So at some point, it's inevitable to face defeats and failures. And these situations make me really miserable. So eventually, I had to either surrender to reality or continue suffering. But at some point, yeah, it became so much, the pain. So I decided to just let go of this attachment and all the suffering disappeared. So this is a pretty deep topic that I went in past videos. You can check them out about suffering, about attachment, about fear, because those things are critical if you want to grow in life. But just a short advice or tip is that pay attention next time you feel triggered or hurt, and you will discover the part of your identity that feels threatened. If you let this go, you won't feel threatened or triggered anymore, and suffering will disappear, which is pretty magical, but that's the way it works. Alright, that's all for today. So if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe to not miss part 2 and 3 of this series, where I will discuss the remaining 20 lessons I learned. And I would like to ask you, which lesson did you like the most? So leave me a comment. And that's all for today, and we see you in the next episode.